to the Public and Protective Services Committee meeting. We have on our committee myself, Kevin O'Toole, as the chair, Len Auger, Mike O'Connor, and Mayor Clayton. And we're going to go into camera. Land acknowledgement, I'm sorry. The city respectfully acknowledges the Beaver Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretakers of these lands and surrounding areas. We are grateful to live, learn, work, and play on Treaty 8 territory within Turtle Island and acknowledge these lands have been home to diverse and sovereign First Nations and Inuit nations since time immemorial. And I'm looking for someone to adopt the agenda. Mike O'Connor, go ahead.
Yes, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. We'll call for that. And we have some delegations, but we're going to go in camera right off the bat. You got to vote.
Favor.
There we go. It's early in the morning and it's cold, but you guys are a little slow here. Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And so with that, we will call to go in camera.
I move that we go into camera, in camera.
Okay, thank you very much.
In favor.
Councillor OJ? We're good? Thank you. Chief Lemieux, would you like to guide us in this Just hang on. Chief Lemieux, did you want to introduce? Looking for a service area update?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm sitting here today on behalf of Mr. Miller, who's on he's away today. So my update includes information from Enforcement Services. So with the snow bans that have been declared, Enforcement Services has dispatched teams of officers for enforcement of snow routes. And through education and enforcement, officers will work to clear parked and abandoned vehicles from roadways prior to transportation rolling through. This enables snowplows to operate more effectively. And Enforcement Services, GPPS, along with R.C.M.P. and others, participated in the annual Candy Cane campaign hosted by Primary Care Alberta, promoting sober driving and road safety during the holiday season. And from Mobile Outreach, in response to the cold snap that we've experienced in the last few days, Mobile Outreach has increased proactive outreach, conducted targeted wellness checks, and coordinated transportation and referrals to warming spaces, shelters, and emergency services to reduce cold-related risk among vulnerable individuals. Stats from the R.C.M.P. Break and enters are showing a 10.6% decrease when compared to the same period in 2024. There were 29 fewer occurrences. And with regards to theft of motor vehicles, there was a decrease there by 7.7% when compared to the same period 2024. So there were 26 fewer actual occurrences. And thefts under $5,000 increased by 6.1% compared to the same period in 2024. So there were 98 more actual occurrences. With regards to crime reduction, with public safety being a top priority, members have been conducting proactive curfew and condition checks for target priority individuals and prolific offenders. Members have completed 1,493 checks to date. From our Recreation Department, aquatics programming remains strong with the successful completion of the 2025 fall season sets, which ran October 12th to December the 9th, delivering over 80 lessons across 2 sessions. And certified fitness programming will continue under the holiday schedule, which begins on December 21st with a range of dry land drop-in classes available to maintain access during the seasonal period. From events and programming, our active living team delivered a strong year, offering 185 programs with an impressive 79% average registration rate, and city facilities were utilized 165 times, supporting broad community access and participation. Our Play Care program welcomed over 11,000 children, demonstrating a sustained demand for this essential service. With regards to upcoming events, the Grand North Winter Festival, the full schedule has been released and tickets are now on sale. And some of the new features for 2026 include multiple winter cooking demonstrations with local chefs and special guest cooks, including Mayor Clayton at the Bows. Cocktail demonstrations in the Ice Bar by local mixologist Michelle Baker, and on-site chefs at the Bows preparing and serving locally sourced food throughout the festival. And a new ice slide designed by Ice on White will be at the Montrose Cultural Centre, which will include a double-ended slide to improve child participation and the flow. And winter arts and crafts activities will be at the Teresa Sargent Hall. So we're looking forward to that Grand North Winter Festival coming up. With regards to Holy Day sales incentives, the Eastlink Centre delivered a highly successful membership drive weekend. So on December the 5th, all 1,000 mystery gift cards sold out in 1 hour and 36 minutes. The December 6th, the one-day membership sales resulted in 517 memberships sold, which exceeded last year's record. So some really good news from our membership and marketing team at Eastlink. Information from the box office. So the box office has a contract with Northwest Polytechnic where we run their box office, and they hosted, NWP hosted 46 shows, and this resulted in a $44,000 revenue for our team, and there are already 12 shows confirmed and booked for 2026. Also, in terms of facility utilization for community and school gyms, we've seen an increase in booked hours year over year by over 1,200 hours. So this reflects a significant increase in facility usage and community demand. And lastly, from Emergency Management, Mr. Jamie Hannaford, who's our GPREP manager, has accepted the position of Director of the Public Safety Communications Center. To ensure continuity of operations, Cassie Zatko will serve as acting GPREP manager starting yesterday until a permanent replacement is appointed. So Cassie will oversee day-to-day operations. She'll support the team and maintain regional coordination. Mr. Hannaford is still available to provide guidance and support during the transition, but he has started in his new role earlier this week. That's my update, Mr. Chair. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your update. I was kind of concerned why nobody asked me how to cook a hot dog. I could have cooked a hot dog out there and showed them and gave them a great class, but next year's possibility, I guess, eh? All right. Was there any questions from the council or committee? I know. Council first. Then you. Go ahead, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, talking about mobile outreach, referring folks to shelter that need it. Have we had any concerns this winter about lack of shelter space, or is everybody finding a warm space? Okay, thank you.
And from our perspective, Tammy Wenzel and her team have worked with Wapiti House, and we have a really good winter shelter plan, so we were able to accommodate individuals.
Excellent. Thank you.
I got one question as well. Speaking of the homeless and people, how is the food banks doing? Are they up to snuff? Are we feeding the people at the Friendship Center and stuff like that? Are you aware?
So I haven't heard of any concerns, so I assume that operations are working and meeting people's needs.
Okay. Thank you. I see no one else, so you're getting off the hook here. Move on to the Grande Prairie Police Commission and Grande Prairie Police Service updates.
So if I may introduce Mr. Wong, the chair of the commission, is unavailable today, so Donna Cook is joining us as the rep from the Police Commission.
Thank you. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's the first time I've had the pleasure of being in council at this particular meeting, and I'm pleased to do so. And I just would like to say publicly, though, I'd like to thank Councillor O'Toole for his service on our Police Commission. Appreciate all the work that Councillor Bressy continues to do, and it's a big welcome to Councillor Palat to our commission. So, and also having said that, I've had the pleasure for our commission of chairing policy and governance and currently sort of personnel, and so appreciate again all the supports that we receive from the city. So I'm pleased today to give you our report. I know you have copies of it, but I think what I'd just like to start out with is certainly budget, because that's a big news item. So on November 10th, the Commission and Chief of Police presented our 2026 policing services budget, as well as the 2026-27 policing service projection to Council. And after budget deliberations, the budget was approved on December 8th of 2025, so much appreciated. Further to that, just to talk a little bit about the transition, and I know it's all there sort of in front of you, but our transition from R.C.M.P to the police service is progressing, perhaps more rapidly than we originally anticipated, but it does reflect both the momentum of the work that's underway and also the effectiveness of the current coordination efforts that we certainly see as a commission between our two forces. And so even though the pace is accelerated, the transition does remain steady. Our GPPS continues to collaborate with our Ministry of Public Safety and Emergency Services, identifying, sequencing, and addressing requirements necessary. This ongoing partnership ensures that there will be emerging issues managed promptly, and all of our foundational elements will be in place to support a smooth transition. In addition to the budget, just would like to comment that the costs for policing services in our third quarter of 2025 are at $29.1 million, and our operational expenses are projected to be approximately $2.78 million, less than budget, primarily due to our savings in our R.C.M.P contract and overall savings in personnel. I also want to highlight records management system. So our IT team is proceeding with the adoption of a company called Axon as our records management system. Initial cost estimates, including licensure, et cetera, have been prepared. There's been great negotiations, and a 10-year contract request has been submitted to City for approval, and this ensures long-term stability. Also, system integration, it can be sort of quite difficult if you don't have that kind of a sort of a long-term contract, and the deployment is scheduled for completion around October of 2026. I also want to talk a little bit about the kind of some of the, well, maybe not. They're operational, but certainly just sort of updates. So on back to July of 2025, just wanted to share that our chief and members of the police participated in the final leg of the Alberta Special Olympics Torch Run, which is certainly really important for our service to be out and about. I also wanted to add that Chief Lacusta and Inspector Nibbs represented the Grande Prairie Police Service at the 3rd Annual Safety of Our Cities Conference. It was held in August, and it was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The first two events had been held one in Edmonton and then once had been one in Ontario, but New Mexico wanted to sort of take on that challenge. What it really did is it brought sort of the law enforcement professionals from across Canada and the US, and it did provide an excellent forum for information and knowledge exchange. And I say that with a fair bit of certainty because I had the privilege myself and Commissioner Lois Duke to attend as well. And there's nothing sort of like being there and actually having that experience and being part of the knowledge exchange. The conference was excellent. It did reinforce sort of our commitment to continuous improvement and interagency cooperation. And I would assure you that any of the presenters, I would listen to the presenter, listen to what was happening, and we were doing it. As a progressive police service, we were on it, we were doing it, we were sort of part of that. And it seemed to me that in no time flat, we'll be presenting at conferences such as that to talk about our amazing experience. We also had 4 sworn officers from our police service participate in the annual clay shoot event. Again, another excellent opportunity for us to be building community and community-oriented policing. We had a strong presence at the annual Touch a Truck event, which provided residents an opportunity to meet uniformed officers, and you can bet that it was most popular amongst children. And great news, September 8th, we were able to take possession, the police service, of our newly acquired office space at the Eastlink Centre. This space will serve and already has served as a valuable resource for our recruiting team as they process applications. It also really strengthens the social presence at the Eastlink Centre, which is a very busy place close to schools, and so it does certainly support future operations. Our joint management team meeting took place in July. We pursued a second office within the detachment. You'll notice I say we, and as a commissioner, it wasn't sort of me in there negotiating, but I feel very, very engaged and owners of both our police service and our R.C.M.P service. So, at any rate, we were able to pursue a second office space within the detachment, which would accommodate 50 municipal employees and an anticipated 40 uniform members. So we received this approval from the R.C.M.P on September 9th, and this enabled Superintendent Respite to establish a presence at the detachment, which I'm told is working very well and that there's an excellent relationship. In terms of recruitment updates, I know you are aware, but the recruitment training class number 3, we welcome 10 highly qualified and diverse recruits. What's amazing about this is that we had a competitive pool of about 311 applicants, meaning that only the top 3% were selected to move forward. This included one female. Lots of times people like to know what the makeup of our recruits are. And so although we were prepared to accommodate 14, we picked 10 highly qualified and diverse, as I mentioned. Recruiting efforts do continue for our experienced officer number 6, and again, significant interest, and this class will be scheduled to commence in February of 2006. And then our recruiting efforts for our RTC class number 4 has commenced. Again, overwhelmingly 161 applicants received to date, and that's as of September. And this class will be scheduled to start in April. And then our recruit training class number 2, hopefully it's not too hard to sort that out, successfully completed their training. They graduated on September 12th, and 6 of those graduates will now be deployed to operational watch duties, where they will be completing their mandatory Block 2 training. And the remaining 8 actually join our community standards unit, and this is under the supervision of Sergeant McFarland. And then our number 5 EOP class began training on September 2nd, and we welcomed 4 newly hired officers. And again, all diverse policing backgrounds. It's really quite amazing. And their graduation was a very nice event and was held on October 24th. So coming up in 2025 Q4, we continue to work on the key deliverables and evaluate what is needed for GPPS to be declared police of jurisdiction, all while working very closely with our R.C.M.P. partners. So I'll just close there.
Thank you very much for the last year in review, and looking forward to what's happening in 2026. Right, was there any questions from council or committee? Thank you for your report. We'll move on. Okay.
Thanks, Chair O'Toole. Just one I thought of as you're about to leave. I think that you have a couple of positions that on your commission that need to be filled in 2026. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
And after a fair bit of discussion, certainly at Personnel Committee, but as a larger commission, we have not done anything formally, but are thinking about sort of the tremendous sort of knowledge and skills that have been developed of the commission, and are contemplating whether it might be amenable to council to consider the extension until the police of jurisdiction occurs.
When do the current positions expire?
May of 2006,
Okay.
2026.
So something we can talk about
Yeah.
in the new year, but
Okay.
just wanted to
Yeah.
remind
Yeah. No,
myself.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's go at it. Anybody else questions? Okay. Then thank you very much for your report,
Thank you, Chief.
and see you in the new year. You guys. And I welcome to the Grande Prairie. We need a motion to receive the report.
Report.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we'll call for the vote. And we're good. Passes unanimously. And we have the Grande Prairie Policing Committee and the Grande Prairie R.C.M.P. updates. So welcome back.
Thank you. Once again, it's a privilege to be sitting here presenting our Policing Committee report to you today on behalf of Chair Wong, and Vice Chair Natalia Reimer was also unable to attend, but it's a privilege to sit beside Inspector McDougald and present our Grande Prairie Policing Committee report. I know that you have received it already, but would just sort of like to highlight some of the areas that we are particularly proud of and working on. So our priorities as we advance sort of the policing transition from R.C.M.P to Grande Prairie Police Service is there's continual work with the police service to integrate service delivery. There have been a demobilization of 20 R.C.M.P regular members. There are 14 that have transitioned from the Grande Prairie detachment, and there's 14 with transfer planning documents. Another priority is around, bilateral operations. So it's a staffing subcommittee. So there is meetings held between GPPS and R.C.M.P on a bi-weekly basis. So there's about 20 meetings per year. So as we're in December, there's been about 20 meetings completed. Employee wellness, that certainly is something that's always a great concern to me and culture, and I always certainly do ask sort of those questions. But in terms of employee wellness, I know there's ongoing discussions with employees through daily staff debriefings, about 4 per week, which means that's about 150 per year, and those again occur daily. And recognizing that, in any sort of transition, there's always going to be sort of challenges, but I certainly appreciate what I hear from Inspector McDougall in terms of how there is ongoing engagement with members and staff at the detachment. Also want to talk a little bit about K Division career development and the resourcing officer engagements with regular members. So there's one formal meeting per year, and so those certainly have occurred. And then there are monthly detachment meetings. Another priority, in addition to the policing transition, is around community relations to build trust and confidence in the R.C.M.P. And so I know myself, having a great sort of respect for R.C.M.P. community engagement and diversity is a real priority for them. So again, there are quarterly meetings that happen between the GP City Detachment Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. We have had that committee present actually at our commission, and so those meetings are on track. There will be, of course, transition to a GPPS community policing lead, and that has been sort of turned over to date. The other priority is around investigational integrity, and that is consistently updated. There's been 90% of those investigations have been concluded. The stats are amazing. There's been 7,911 calls for service that have been concluded. 5,145 have complainants updated, and bringing that sort of to 86%. So pretty amazing follow-up, I would say. Another priority, of course, which is all of ours, is enhancing public safety. So there's a priority target initiative. So there's a target priority and prolific offenders through proactive curfews and conditional checks. So this has increased by 5% year over year. So the initial was 2,500, and so the increase now has been to 2,625. So again, well done work. There is also a stand-up monthly, it's called the ComStat reduction meeting. So there's been 11 meetings that occurred per year usually. And so there's been 3 meetings completed, and the regular meetings commenced in September of 2025. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And then the Connect Grande Prairie, again, transitioning to community lead. So you can see that sort of there is a theme in terms of how we're working on transition but meeting on a very regular basis. And so the numbers of meetings have occurred. They're on track, as is in your report. And then I think what the team have done is a very excellent job of sharing the statistics from July to September. And once again, the financial figures certainly that we have presented are in alignment with the financial plan for 25-26. The invoicing is something that is sort of ongoing and is done on a regular basis in accordance. And the Alberta R.C.M.P. will continue to provide our community with monthly enhanced reporting to support ongoing forecasting, etc. And that would be my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions from
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. A great report. My question is related to the R.C.M.P. Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee.
Okay.
I did sit on that committee, and I did talk with Gavin Newell before he left. And my concern at the time was he did mention that it was highly likely that it would be continued in some form or some manner with GPPS, which is good, which is great. I guess my only thoughts at the time was to really get that committee active sooner rather than later. And I guess that would be my question. What is the transition plan from the R.C.M.P. committee to GPPS now? Thank you.
Well, I'll make a comment, and then maybe the chief or maybe our inspector can comment on it. But I know as a commission, we're also very concerned about that role and about that committee. Manning is a very lucky community for Gavin and his family to be relocating there, and we know that he's had a significant impact on this community, and it's of utmost importance when we talk about community policing that continue. And well, I better not say, I won't say anymore. I was going to say something about a farewell, but I'm not going to. And I don't know if, is the chief still, Chief, do you mind making a comment on that role? Is that okay?
So great question and observation. So it is Chief's work.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
Oh.
So great question, Councillor. So EDI is very much a part of our organization as we move forward, as is community safety well-being. So we're restructuring, but it's going to be a key piece of us as we move forward. So I know that Gavin Newell is transitioning out, and we're just trying to coordinate the efforts here so we can continue working with the committee here. So, but it will continue.
Thank you.
And so, point taken, Councillor Auger, and as I just reinforce, we, with another sort of hat on, Gavin Newell did an incredible amount of experience, amount of work for this community, and was actually honored by the Grande Prairie Public School Division and the Alberta School Board Association for his work. So I know the Commission recognizes his work, and it's big shoes to fill, but as the Chief said, we are committed to making sure that we have someone that can fill those shoes.
Chair, if I can add to that, if I may. Gavin's worked very closely with one of the strategic advisors for GPPS, Melissa Byers, over the last 6 to 8 months to transition that lead. We are fortunate. Gavin is unfortunate. He had some difficulties with residence sale. So we're blessed to have him at least into January on our side. Unfortunately, when you make that decision in life to get on with the next stage in your career and your family, of course, you want to get going. But we're blessed here in the city to have Gavin into January. And I do believe the plan, I can't speak for Chief, but Melissa's been directly involved with Gavin for the last 6 or 8 months.
Excellent. I have one more individual who would like to talk, Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Chair O'Toole, and I have 2 points that I'd like to mention. But first, I'd like to mention all the dealings that I've had with Gavin have been nothing but positive. His interaction whenever I went to the schools was always top notch, very, very well received by the kids at the comp. So kudos, please pass that on to him. That's well done in his role. The one point I'd like to ask, and I'm not sure if this is the right time or not, but I noticed under fatals on, what page would this be? Looks like 5 of 7. Under fatals went 0, 1, 0, 2, and then 5. And I'm just curious, and this question was asked me by Councillor Burke, in regards to how come it jumped so much? Is that a direct result of a lack of what do you call it, photo radar, or why are there so many fatals all of a sudden, and what's driving that? If you could provide me an answer for that.
Good question, Councillor, and I would like a chance to pull those 5 files, review them myself to provide a fulsome answer. I would not point to one specific item. I believe it's a totality of circumstances that comes into those factors. So I would have to look at the individual files, and I'd like an opportunity to do that.
Well, sure.
Just to see exactly what happened with those 5. And it's a totality. It's not necessarily one specific item.
Yeah. I just wonder if there's not a trend happening there that we're not aware of, and the why. So I appreciate that when you get a chance to present back to us. And
Yes, sir.
I also noticed on other traffic, it went up 17% in between 24 and 25, and that's further on down total traffic just under total provincial traffic. Other traffic was up 17%. So.
Yes, sir, and that looks like a year-over-year change from 6 to 7, where you're seeing that 17% change in the increase.
Yep.
If you look at 2021 through 2025, that totality is roughly 60% decrease.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Palat?
Thanks, Chair O'Toole. Just curious on the stats here when I look at the 3,000-ish criminal codes. It says just mischief other, 474. What would be some examples of mischief other, I guess? It's about 15% of our criminal codes, and it's kind of a vague line item, so I'm just trying to where I can expand on that a little bit.
I would suggest I look into that a little bit deeper as well. You're going to see some files scored as mischief with regards to homelessness, vagrancy, those types of files. It really depended upon the scoring of the file, whether it's a municipal bylaw scoring or if it's a mischief scoring for homelessness, vagrancy, that type of issue, because there's no damage to property. It would be necessarily a person's crime, so to speak.
Okay, and just to maybe build on a little bit, Inspector McDougall, just curious, because when I look on here as well, we've got disturbing the peace, and I guess my head goes to somebody with loud tailpipes driving on the road, but I guess that's not necessarily what it means. And failure to comply with breaches. It's about a third of our calls are in those 3 categories, and I guess I'd love to get more data on how many of our calls are actually going to our vulnerable population at some point specifically. Love to see us put a better lobbying effort into the province to say this is what it's costing our community in policing. But when I look at these numbers, I'm assuming those kind of calls are probably in multiple different layers within these stats. And I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity for us to extrapolate better statistics around that specifically. Not singling it out, but I do think we have to start getting a handle on what that cost is to our community.
Well said.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from
Yeah, I have one more.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
You have provided a lot of data about the crime in Grande Prairie. What percentage would you consider are repeat offenders in all the data that you've collected?
There is a small portion of the population that contributes to the majority of the statistics. I don't have the exact number, but in terms of recidivism, repeat offenders, folks out on release documents or whatnot, it is a very common occurrence.
Thank you.
I'll just mention for interest's sake the calls for service and charge files per year. 2023, there was 27,000 calls for service in Grande Prairie City, 5,800 charge files. 2024 was 26,000 calls for service in Grande Prairie and 3,300 charge files. Just for a point of reference on the officers are busy. And these days when we say an R.C.M.P, it is an integrated service delivery with GPPS with 40 folks assigned to the front lines there.
Okay, I've just got one question, and it's about impairment. This is the time of year where people get into the Christmas cheer a little bit or other things. And I remember as a young person, lots of individuals were pulled over and charged. Is that the trend now, or are people taking advantage of rideshare and cabs and not even engaging in alcohol or other drugs?
I would say it's a continued common occurrence. The recent changes to the impaired driving laws to make it a provincial sanction has assisted greatly by getting the officers back on the road quickly. So those changes to the provincial laws were very beneficial. We tend to focus our enforcement efforts there on the long weekends, and as we lead up to, they call it Operation Impact, so Thanksgiving long weekend, and then December 4th and 5th was another weekend across the province where we focused on enforcement efforts and check stops, and you'll see that as well as we lead up to Christmas. We're fortunate in this area of the province to have a provincial traffic unit that works out of the Claremont location for the traffic office there. And those 5 or 6 officers are traveling around the area quite frequently as well.
Thank you very much for that information. I'm going to ask. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Cheryl. Too. Just going back kind of my earlier questioning, I'm just curious if council had an appetite with R.C.M.P or GPPS to start getting into that out of our calls or infractions, what percentage are repeat offenders or what percentage are related to our vulnerable folks? Is that something that we could get to? Is that something that we'd be able to have, or is that something we'd have to ask specifically for? I'm just kind of curious how we'd get to that data at some point.
I'm just thinking on a statistical, holistic approach with 26,000 calls for service. We could look at potentially chatting with our criminal analysts to see if there's something there. In terms of the vulnerable sections of society, those are not statistics we keep, so to speak. So that might be a more difficult challenge to identify those folks, because those are not statistics we keep on the vulnerable population, so to speak. In terms of repeat offenders, I'm suspecting our criminal analysts will be able to do something with that.
And is that, I guess, just as we move through to transition to GPPS, is that something that we could be, through Axon or new record management, is that something we could be looking at working towards?
Well, Councillor Platt, I certainly made a note of it for us to be able to follow up with the chief around the capability of Axon, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I think we've answered, or you've answered a lot of our questions, and I appreciate that. And I see no more, so thank you for being here today. And as you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you, folks.
Looking for a motion to accept the Grande Prairie Policing Committee and Grande Prairie R.C.M.P updates. Go ahead.
I move that we receive the Grande Prairie Policing Committee's report for information.
Excellent. Vote. And that is... Mr. Auger.
It didn't come up. They were...
And that carries. Thank you so much. And with that, welcome to the table. We have Grander Winter Strategy, and Mr. Lemieux, would you like to go through? And
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have Director Ridgway here for the next report, which is an update on a Grander Winter Strategy. So I'll turn it over to the Director.
Thank you, Chair O'Toole.
welcome.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here to present the Grander Winter Strategy for you today. The strategy was developed in-house by administration, drawing on internal expertise informed by the public and stakeholder input. This approach ensures the strategy is grounded in local context, operational realities, and existing city resources. The Grander Winter Strategy positions winter as a defining strength of Grande Prairie and a key driver for quality of life. The strategy focuses on enhancing existing amenities, events, and programs to encourage residents to get outside, stay active, and connect throughout the winter months. Aligned with Council's strategic priorities, the strategy reframes winter from a challenge into an opportunity, leveraging Grande Prairie's bright winter days, established infrastructure, and strong community spirit. It is intentionally practical and fiscally responsible, emphasizing actions that can be delivered within existing resources while setting a clear direction for future growth. The strategy is built around 3 interconnected objectives. Objective 1 is telling our grander winter story, establishes a positive, unified winter identity by celebrating local culture, resilience, and northern living. Through storytelling, education, and consistent messaging, this objective helps residents understand how to thrive in winter and builds pride in Grande Prairie as a winter city. Objective 2 is a grander winter lifestyle. This supports an active, inclusive winter lifestyle by enhancing current amenities and expanding access to programming, events, and cultural experiences. This objective focuses on removing barriers to participation and making it easier for residents of all ages and abilities to enjoy winter outdoors. And finally, objective number 3, the grander winter support, provides the foundational supports needed for safe and confident winter participation, including winter mobility, infrastructure, business engagement, and safety initiatives. This objective ensures that existing spaces and systems function well in winter and support a vibrant year-round community. So the Grander Winter Strategy is designed to be a living document and will be regularly reevaluated in alignment with Council's strategic priorities and ongoing community feedback. There are no planned funding impacts to the 2026 budget. Any additional funding required will be brought forward separately for Council's consideration. The recommendation is that committee recommend Council adopt the winter strategy as presented. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions or feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ridgway. I have Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Chair O'Toole. I'm just curious. I really like the tenure, the feel of this whole report. It's very, very positive. And the only point I have that I thought to me is a takeaway is objective number 1, tell our grander winter story. And it says, Grande Prairie has a history filled with resourceful spirit, grit, and tenacity. And then it says, this is not a place for the faint of heart. And I'm just wondering, is that meant to be there? Because to me, everything else is saying, here's all the good things, here's what we're going to do, and this is how we're building it. And that one says, oh, by the way, this is not a place for the faint of heart. So I'm just curious as to why.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Through the chair. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. So for us, that was seen as a positive, that we were all very, let's be honest, it's very brave to live here. We all got up at -30 and wiped off our cars and didn't even think about coming to work. We're all here today. So I think that was kind of the context of that sentence.
Yeah, and for me is, I love living in this winter north, and I don't find it that is the faint of heart. I enjoy -40. If you ever lived in Ottawa when it's -5, I'll take -40 any day of the week because the -5 goes through you. That is for a challenge for the brave of heart. But anyway, thanks for explaining that to me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Got one from Mr. Berg, Councillor Berg, and Councillor Pliot.
Yeah, thanks, Chair O'Toole. Ms. Ridgway, just kind of, I love this. I absolutely love it. For years, I've been saying we've been a winter city, and now we're developing a plan that actually faces that head on. So I'm just kind of curious. There's a lot of development here from educate and inform, develop the winter branding. All wonderful. How do we get that out into the public?
Through the chair. So we'll work with communications and marketing on a fulsome plan for that. We're kind of in the ideas phase and have a pretty solid plan, but we will definitely need to refine it and talk about implementation.
Wonderful. Yeah, again, I fully support this. I just want to make sure that once it starts getting rolled out, that people are aware of it. And that we can, again, move forward or, to use a metaphor, plow forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Plott.
Thanks, Cheryl, too. Thanks for letting me in the queue. Just a couple questions on here. I'm excited about the report, as we are a winter city for sure, and I do think that it's tough on folks, so it's nice to have plans for them. Just wondering on the skating ribbon, because that excites me. Do we have some potential locations for that, or are we still kind of looking at options for that?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, we do have some potential locations. We haven't settled on any. Those sorts of ideas and plans will come to council for consideration.
Okay. And then my other one, I'm just maybe segues into that is, are we going to relook at how we utilize Storm Ponds and Crystal Lake and O'Brien Lake and some of these tributaries? I see other communities around the province are using those type of things, and we kind of stopped using those years ago. And I'm just curious if that's something we could look at bringing back and put some safety parameters around them. A heck of a lot easier to maintain a rink on something where you can flood and that sort of stuff versus with the little pocket parks. Nothing against the way we're doing rinks now. Just wondering if that's going to be something that we'll have a conversation about, or if that's something that's part of this report or a different conversation altogether.
Through the chair, that was not considered in this report, but we can bring something back.
Okay. I think we've got some amazing assets in our community, both north and south, that could be really useful in that. My last one was just more around the funding, and it says that, as we roll this out, but when I look at what we spend on community events outside of small and large scale tourism and all of our gift in kinds, we're spending very little bit of our money on winter events currently. Just wondering how admin sees that rolling forward, where we can have a conversation about, is it a bigger bucket of money, or are we defunding some of the other things that we do during the year? I know at budget there was talk about maybe pulling a few events, but just wondering how we look at that without adding more. Do we think that we can add some of these more winter spending within that current bucket of money?
Go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Chair O'Toole. How we wanted to approach it this year, and some of it is capacity, was just to start rolling this out on the lower cost items, low cost items, using existing resources on telling our story, and then we can build on whether there's some further ask. But we wouldn't have been able to pull that off this season, so those will come to fall 27 budget. So that is our plan, is to bring some of those initiatives forward that have price tags next fall.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Great report. Thanks for that.
Mayor Clayton?
I was just going to say, Councillor Plott, if you're looking for information on Storm Ponds, I suggest you make a motion for that. Okay, then find somebody who would. Yep. I think it's probably Chief Clavins.
All right. Any other questions? I see none. Thank you for being here today and giving your presentation and information. Looking for a motion to...
I will.
Okay. Then
Okay, so I move the committee recommend council adopt the Grande Winter Strategy as presented, and thank you.
You're welcome. And that is, make your vote.
Councillor O'Connor in favor.
All right. That carries.
And I have a motion when you get a moment.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move that we ask administration to be able to look at Storm Ponds as a...
It's not this committee. It'll go to Chief Clavins' committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
I was being aggressive.
All right. We have no correspondence, other business, bylaw, council, and we do have an outstanding items list. Can we give an update on that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no changes to the outstanding items list.
Okay. So do we vote on it? We still need to make a vote, so I guess Councillor O'Connor, now you can get the microphone again.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to move committee received the December 16th outstanding items list as presented for information.
Thank you. Mr. O'Connor, you need to vote.
I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. And that carries. And with that, I call this meeting adjourned, but I do want to thank all the staff and wish them all and all of my council members a very Merry Christmas.